two-time Oscar winner Sean Penn is bringing his talents to the small screen for the first time in the new Hulu series called The First.
Set in the near future, it centers on a dangerous mission to Mars, and Natalie had a chance recently to catch up with Sean and his co-star.
I did. Well, Sean Penn rarely does interviews, but he welcomed us to his home for a discussion with Natascha McElhone, who's his co-star, about their new show from the creator of House of Cards. It's a conversation that also then included a frank discussion on the Me Too movement.
I just called to say Godspeed. I'm watching, and I'm with you in spirit.
The First is Sean Penn's TV debut as a complicated space commander working under an unapologetic visionary played by longtime TV actress Natascha McElhone.
I have a briefing to get back to.
I can wait.
No, you can't actually.
How is television and acting in TV different than the movies?
They both suck. I mean,
You still feel that way?
Well, listen,
That's quite hurtful, actually.
it was autobiographical. I loved going to work when she was at work. I love the material.
Both Penn and McElhone said it was the strong writing and themes of bravery and sacrifice that drew them to the project.
The people that work as astronauts or in the military and that kind of incredible commitment that's going to take them away from family. All of those things were of interest to me in this.
I think the tension between whether it's a sacrifice or actually whether it's a break for freedom is a kind of interesting idea too.
And a lot of really strong women. I think 3 of the 5 astronauts who decide to go to Mars are women. And also the president in 2030 is a woman. Do you think the Me Too movement has sort of informed, especially when you look at this show, when your character is the one who's the visionary?
Yeah, and for me in life, that's not unusual. I don't see that as aberrant. I get that in TV and in a lot of our media, women haven't been depicted in that way. And I find that deeply disturbing.
And Sean, what about you?
I'd like to think that none of it was influenced by what they would call the movement of Me Too. I think it's influenced by the things that are developing in terms of the empowerment of women acknowledging each other and being acknowledged by men. This is a movement that was, largely shouldered by a kind of receptacle of the salacious.
What do you mean a receptacle of the salacious?
Well, we don't know what's a fact. In many of the cases, salacious is as soon as you call something a movement that is really a series of many individual accusers, victims, accusations, some of which are unfounded. The spirit of much of what has been the Me Too movement is to divide men and women.
The women would say it's united women.
I'm going to say that women that I talk to, not in front of a camera, that I listen to, of all walks of life, that there's a common sense that is not represented at all in the discussion when it comes to the media discussion of it. The discussion where if Sean Penn says this, so-and-so is going to attack him for saying this because of that. I don't want it to be a trend, and I'm very suspicious of a movement that gets glommed onto in great stridency and rage and without nuance. And even when people try to discuss it in a nuanced way, the nuance itself is attacked.
Do you think it's the Me Too movement has gotten too big? That it's gotten to be, in some ways, there are too many shades of gray and
Well, I think it's too black and white. In most things that are very important, it's really good to just slow down.
Did you talk about this much on set?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah?
We talked about it a great deal. I think Sean was maybe alluding to is this sort of, this bubble of actors or people who are in magazines that have garnered a lot of attention from this. And of course, it's terrific that they put a spotlight on it, but now we need to go into the places where this is happening behind closed doors and it's not exposed and those voices aren't being heard. And
Penn and McElhone seem to understand each other. Their on-screen characters do too. It's a chemistry they hope translates into a second season.
we have to see if you guys like it. There's humility in that. That's the thing about TV is you don't get to make it unless people respond.
It's a very interesting conversation, and clearly we were there to talk about the show, and then it evolved into this greater conversation because the show really is pro-women, and the first, by the way, airs on Hulu. It's already streaming now. But yeah, very eye-opening conversation.
Certainly was.
Yeah.
All right, Natalie, thanks.